I've arrived in Plympton, and here is Mr. Tricker. Hello? I spent the night in an industrial estate last night. God knows where.
Richard Vobes is in town.
And there's the great man himself, Francis Reginald Drake. I don't know if Reginald actually was his name, but it's an appropriate name, I think.
Knowledge Fountain. Yes.
In 200 yards, at the roundabout, continue straight onto Devonport Hill, A374.
Well, we've parked up after the ferry and we've come into a different county, almost a different country. We are in Cornwall.
Kingsand, Cornwall.
Kingsand in Cornwall. Bit of a little drive through some very narrow and very beautiful but precarious streets. Bit windy here. And I said we were going to end up on Drake's Island. I got that wrong.
I think I may have misinformed you.
I think I've been lied to.
Once again.
Not as if I would ever lie myself with any of the facts.
Or exaggerate anything.
Or exaggerate anything. But anyway, this is like the little place that time forgot.
It's wonderful.
And absolutely amazing. And the car park is very cheap. But it looks out onto, I don't know what you would call that. I mean, it's the sea, obviously, but what part of the sea it is.
I have no clue.
But we're just the other side of Plymouth. But we're going to go and have a walk around these wonderful narrow lanes and have a look and see what's here. There's a tower here, Tim. What is it? The lookout tower, is it? No, the clock tower.
Clock tower.
Erected in, trying to read the sign there, some time ago, but there's some lovely steps here whilst I'm going to go and climb up these and see if we get a better view from the top. Absolutely stunning. What an amazing view. There's some people out there, I can't really get them on the camera, but they're on paddle boards. This wonderful sandstone tower, clock tower, and all this lovely, beautiful red sandstone, 1911, Tim's just worked out. And the sea comes right up there, hence the sea defence to stop the tide from washing the town away. Kingsand, I wonder where it got its name, whether the king ever landed here or it's just in honour of the king, but which one? What an amazing place. This gives you an idea of what an old English village, town, seaside town would have looked like back in the day. There's a sign there that says it's unsuitable for motor vehicles. And these are so narrow, these little streets, just it's so rare to see in this modern world of ours.
There's no way you can get it.
You wouldn't get anything up here. Beautiful red sandstone, that must be the local stone then. It's not an easy place to get to, is it, Tim?
So many, you wouldn't get a car down here. No chance.
But how did you find this? This was Taylor's.
Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor came here with her friends from uni about a month or so ago. So it's thanks to her. It's lovely though.
It's a stunning place. Absolutely, and it's one of those places you'd never think to go unless you knew it existed. You wouldn't stumble upon this at all.
No, it's too far out the way to stumble upon.
And it is a bit of a funny old route. Well, we took a funny route across these windy roads, but absolutely tremendous. I'm thrilled. We've come to the Ship Inn.
The Ship Inn for a cup of coffee and some
Cake.
No telling.
Now, I'm buying this, so I'm not allowed to eat sugar, so I'm not having the cake. You may see me put stuff in my mouth, but I will be taking it straight out afterwards. This is a beautiful, obviously an old inn, but now is a coffee shop.
Recommended by two local ladies up the road.
We've had a lovely conversation with two lovely ladies who refused to be on camera. One with a shovel, the other with a trowel. And they dug us two graves and they were going to put us in it. But we managed to escape. And here's a lady here, doesn't want to be filmed, but she has got two cafetières and some cake. Not cake, it's not, we don't eat cake. We're not eating
cake. No cake.
No, definitely
We haven't
not.
got cake, have we?
There's just,
No.
the coffees.
Just coffees, thank you.
Coffees and things that resemble cake, but they really aren't. Do you know how old this place is? It's as old as God, isn't it?
It is, very, very
It's
old.
as old as God.
I used to come in here
As a wee nipper.
when I was courting
Really?
with my husband, yes.
It was only last week. There I see.
What was it then? Pub?
I bet it was a nice pub. I'm standing outside the back of the Ship Inn, or what's left of it. We've just had a cup of coffee, as you saw, and very nice flapjacks. I can certainly vouch for those. It burnt down in 2013, built in 1750. So a real old inn and headquarters of smuggling, apparently. But it caught fire and completely gutted it, so they've only got the downstairs that we saw. But when you see the roof beyond, it is quite amazing. So they're going to build flats, a couple of, about 4 flats, I think, for local people, which is a fantastic idea, because there's no money to recreate this wonderful old pub, which is such a shame. It must have been a horror story when it was engulfed in flames. But yeah, fascinating to see.
Well, it's that overgoing bloody hot.
Rame Head we were told to go to, and that's where we've gone, which is a little further round this little peninsula from Kingsand and Cawsand. And we were told by the ladies who gave us the coffee to come up to Rame's Head, R-A-M-E-H-E-A-D, Rame's Head. There might have been an S in there somewhere. And there's this rather beautiful little chapel on the top of the peninsula there, which presumably may have once been a lookout post, or built probably with some legend about the fact that someone was saved. That's usually the thing. And then they had to build a church or a chapel or some such thing. Behind us is the Coast Guard lookout. There's 3 people working away in there. You often see them on the coast. Not in Worthing though. No, they do have them in Worthing, don't they?
They do, down on the front, usually by, is it the Lido, little one there?
Yeah. So we're just going to take a little stroll up there and back. And in the background there are the warships going around firing at us.
Inbound!
Photos, I think they're taking just pictures, probably nothing exciting.
Was that not apparent with the scaffold tower?
Tim has just said to me, as we're walking over to the chapel, which is on this peninsula, looking down at the beach below us, that he fancies getting on a hang glider. I mean, the man is obviously certifiable, but he doesn't have a fear of heights, in which I do.
No fear of heights.
No. But yeah, this looked like it was going to be a 20-minute walk, but actually it turned out to be like 10 minutes from the car park. So easily doable if you fancy it. Bit of a climb to the top, but we're loving it. And look at the view behind us. It is very windy in here. We've made it. Let's get out of the wind just for a second.
Didn't take long.
Didn't take long at all to do that little walk. But good for the lungs, good for the body, good for the legs. Absolutely sensational. Just have a look at this place. I know nothing about the chapel, but it's something I'm going to find out about online when I get back later. So maybe in tomorrow's video I can tell you a bit more about it. But in this one, on location, with limited access to signals and things, but there it is. But I'm guessing some rumour evolves with it, why it was built here. Perhaps to commemorate the death of somebody, perhaps a legend of somebody who was saved. That's very often a thing. So I'm just speculating now, but it would be fascinating to find out more. But it's just situated in such an idyllic place, and we're so lucky with the weather. And we saw gun emplacements over on the side there where the concrete is to the right. Let's see if I can get a better picture. Clearly used in the Second World War, trying to defend Plymouth, which, as we noted before, had obviously been severely bombed. But Tim wouldn't have missed this for the world.
I wouldn't have missed this for anything. This is so worth coming up here. If you're in the area,
You've got to do it.
Don't miss it.
And
it's worth it.
And this was just word of mouth from one of the locals, which just goes to show how important it is to talk to the locals, because they know what's here.
Have known.
We wouldn't have known
to come here.
But fantastic. Whew. Right. Oops, sorry. Flies everywhere. Well, I've parked up on the edge of Dartmoor now. It's mid to late afternoon, and Tim and his daughter Taylor, who didn't want to be filmed, have gone off to do some other stuff, and I've taken myself off and out of Plymouth. Getting out of Plymouth was a curious experience. I just said, do you know, I'm going to go and find a nice little quiet spot, because the city centre is just, well, it's like most city centres these days, full of car parks that you have to pay, full of nowhere to stop, cameras, speed limits, bus lanes, hustle, bustle and stress. And I just needed to get back out into the countryside. So I dropped Tim and Taylor off, and it's taken me an hour and a half to get out of Plymouth. I kept thinking, oh, I'll go here, there'll be bound to be a nice little place. But Plymouth seems to be, apart from the historic dockyard area, it just seems to be full of new builds over the last 40 years. All the hills up and down, 30 mile an hour speed limits, cameras, very stressful. And I just kept trying to find somewhere but couldn't, and in the end I had to come out miles from Plymouth, and I'm now here on the edge of Dartmoor at Roborough, I think it's called. You can't, it's a beautiful spot, but you can't camp here the night, unfortunately. So I'm going to try and find somewhere. I might head up towards Tavistock. I'm just off on the Tavistock road from Plymouth, so I may end up there this evening. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen tomorrow, because I just don't fancy going back into the city. It was too stressful, and I really like to see more of the countryside. Good morning. Another day, another trip. Yes, still on the Plymouth trip, although no longer in Plymouth. I'm in Tavistock, very close to Tavistock. I'm actually on the edge of Dartmoor, on the golf course, Tavistock Golf Course. The road runs through, and I parked up last night just outside Tavistock in a very quiet place. Had a good night. Very warm to begin with, and then it cooled down, which was perfect. And I have a cup of coffee about to brew. The kettle is on. First one of the morning. I woke up at 5, as I've been tending to do, and then move to a quieter location, somewhere where I can put the bed away and sort myself out, get dressed properly and all of that. So yeah, gonna have a cup of coffee. Tim Tricker is on his way, but this is a beautiful place to have breakfast and start the day. There are Dartmoor ponies here, and I'm hoping to get some shots of those if I can. Well, this is rather magical, I can tell you. waking up on Dartmoor. The edge of the moor is just over there actually, but I'm within the what would you call it, park, the Dartmoor National Park, and just the odd car coming by, whizzing along the road. But I have all of this to me and a few of the horses. Absolutely amazing. This is what van life is about. The alarm. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Dismiss that, thank you. Just popped into the bakery there. Beautiful bread. There is a strange crenellated entrance ahead of us that is far more interesting for us to investigate. And back in the van, the kettle is on, a cup of coffee and then some eggs and bacon for lunch. Just as I pulled up here, a police car came and said,
"Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Richard Vobes is in town."